How's everyone doing? It's CC, that's me here, welcoming you to another anime countdown. Since the anime of the month is My Hero Academia, there is a lot going for this anime. The characters, fight scene, and the quirks. In the world of My Hero Academia, almost everyone has a quirk, being that 80% of people do. Knowing that, there is a huge plethora of quirks to be explored within their universe. Today, we are going to be counting down my top 10 favourite quirks from My Hero Academia. Now, some characters may reoccur from the last countdown, which I highly suggest checking out before watching this one. These characters' quirks may reappear for the reason why I said I liked them in the last countdown, and that can't be helped, as the quirks help build the characters. However, the order of this countdown is largely different. With that all out of the way and set, I think it's time to feel quirky and begin the countdown. Before the countdown begins, remember this is an opinion, not a fact video, so these videos will be extremely subjective, and you may not agree with me. If so, make sure you comment down below where I went wrong, and let me know your views as well. All countdowns are going to be based on what I've watched from the dubbed anime, therefore, my opinions won't take into account the manga or episodes further in the series that are subbed. There will be spoilers, which will be pointed out in the video, however, I want to keep the comments spoiler free for anyone wanting to start watching the anime, or for those who haven't got as far into the series. Feel free to tab out at any time and do something else, as these videos will be me just expressing my views, and nothing too flashy will be on the screen. Finally, make sure you show that like button some love down below. Don't dislike if you don't agree with me, just remember this is an opinion. Before you forget, why don't you subscribe? If you enjoyed the video, there will be plenty more where that came from, and it helps the channel out. With that said, let's get into the countdown. For this week we have one honourable mention, and it goes to Kyuka. Before we start this, for her earphone jack quirk. I honestly quite like the concept of it, as I don't think you can relate this quirk to any other superpower, giving it a sense of belonging to her. However, she isn't on the list because we have barely seen any screen time of her or her using her quirk, and the people in this countdown, I believe, are much more deserving of their place. For our number 10 spot, we are going with Eijiro and his hardening quirk. Not making it into last week's countdown, I thought I'd give him a place here because he honestly deserves it. His quirk is pretty cool, being able to harden any part of his body. It's a good defense, being able to withstand a lot of hits, and as well, heat and shockwaves. And it's a good offense, also knowing that every punch he deals is like a brick to the face, and that has power behind it. Awesome quirk, but it needs more screen time, people. I really hope he gets in season 2. For number 9, I decided that Mizo should be in here for the uniqueness of his quirk. His duplicate arms quirk gives him 6 tentacles, all webbed together on each side, which is weird enough. However, they can replicate body parts like an arm like a decoy, an ear to have heightened listening, to the point of hearing footsteps many levels above him, which is pretty cool, or a straight up 6-punch barrage, people. Definitely one of the most unique quirks in anime, let alone superpowers in general, but just give him some more screen time, people. And if so, he'd probably be high on this list, but nonetheless, very cool. At number 8, I thought that Tokiyami needed to be shown a bit of love for his quirk. His Dark Shadow quirk, in my opinion, is one of the coolest looking, and is extremely versatile. It can transform into many different forms depending on the situation, and the madder Tokiyami gets, the more powerful his quirk becomes. I love to see more of this in season 2 because shadows are just dope in any anime, and so I love to see what they do with it. Just give people more screen time, people. Isn't that hard? Our number 7 pick is gonna be my boy Kaminari. Although I rated him so high on my characters countdown last week and said that his electrification quirk was cool, there are problems I have with it. Like I said before, I do hope it develops into something much better, as comparing it to something like Laxus from Fairy Tail or any other character that uses lightning, he is extremely undermatched. I love him, don't get me wrong, I do, and his quirk is awesome, but it needs to improve a lot more in order to be higher on this list. With number 6, I decided Yayarozu deserves some loving for her quirk. Her creation quirk gives her the ability to create any non-living material from her uncovered body through the molecular manipulation of her fat cells. Science, bitch! I love this as she is literally a walking weapon. Give her enough time and she can spawn almost anything. The explanation for a quirk I appreciate as it's not coming out of thin air, but rather it actually has a scientific explanation behind it. Like I've said before, she's one hell of a cool chick, and her quirk deserved a space on this list. At number 5, we have a bit of a surprising choice in my mind, as we have Nomu. He is a walking punching bag that could beat the crap out of you. Having shock absorption and his super regeneration quirk, he just doesn't die. Literally doesn't die. Built to be the perfect counter for All Might, he does a good job of that, not gonna lie, of being able to tank almost any hit. Like I said before about some of the quirks in this list, they didn't make him broken and gave him a weakness, which is why I can highly rate him, as he isn't invincible, and I'm glad. He got lolled out of the park by All Might, as although his quirk is cool, he isn't getting any matches on Tinder anytime soon. So, yeah, cool guy, but he don't look that good. With my number 4 pick, I decided to go with the All for One quirk, but rather used by Deku over All Might. The main reason for this is All Might just appears with all this amazing power, whereas Deku is starting off to use it and learning the pure power it has, as well as the damage it can cause to himself. I imagine All Might was at this stage at one point, and I would love to see this. However, as of right now, I prefer Deku's rendition of it, as it's slowly progressing to the final product of All Might's original version. And when it does, then believe me, Deku is wrecking shop, my dudes. Coming in at number 3, I thought of Eraserhead and his Erasure quirk. I may have said this before, but I'm saying it again for good reasons. He is a good example of knowing your weaknesses and counteracting them. His quirk can nullify most people's quirks, but as long as his eyes are looking at them. Therefore, if he blinks or something obstructs it, he can't use it. To compensate for this hindrance, his costume is there with goggles to block lines of sight from the opponents, meaning they can't tell who he's working his quirk on. And as well, his metal alloy scarf with fighting skill to face villains. He's adapted to his quirk, and to me his quirk and other components make him one of the best fighters in the series, hands down. For number 2, it's gonna be my boy Bakugo and his explosion quirk. When you think of explosions, you can't imagine diversity being born from it. Well, if you watch Bakugo, you can see how he changes that, as he uses his quirk in a multitude of ways, whether it be for versatility or for ranged and close combat. His quirk is used in many different ways, and I love it, especially because it looks bad as beyond belief. Although Bakugo is my favourite character, and I love his quirk, I believe there is one other character's quirk who is better in my opinion. Finally, at number 1, we are going with Todoroki's half cold, half hot quirk. He may be behind some of the characters in last week's countdown, but I cannot deny how amazing his quirk is. Having complete control over both ice and fire, they're a deadly combo, especially when used right, and create so many versatile options. Freeze enemies then burn them, create walls of flames and ice to isolate opponents, changing an entire battleground to an icy tundra or a blazing hot environment. There is so much that can be had with this quirk, hence why Todoroki is number 1. Thank you all for watching this week's countdown. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'd love to see what you thought and your opinions. Make sure you check out last week's countdown of my top 10 favourite characters in My Hero Academia if you haven't already. But with that all said, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next countdown. So this is CC, signing out. Goodbye!